Hey, my name is Ryan with Oak Harbor Web Designs. Today we have another exciting edition of work. So this one is a city council candidate. Ken Scott needs himself a new website for the election in November. I think this is by Seattle. So this is what my designer came up with. Kyle, who I work with every so often when we got some interesting projects. But so this is the homepage that we have to do. I'm just given a desktop design, and it's up to me to decide the mobile. And what's special about this particular project is Kyle had a little fun. So he did all the pages, and usually I just have my interior pages being templates like the About, Services, Contact. I just do a custom home page and use my own templated interior pages to save on work and time. But Kyle decided not to do that for me, and we have an About and a separate Contact page. So we'll be doing these three today. So these, they're simple. They look interesting. Hopefully, it's simple doing. But yeah, so this will be a fun one. Let's try and crack into this and knock this one out pretty fast. So I already extracted all the images, and over here I have my starter kit that I start all of my websites with. So here we go. This is what it looks like. You got your landing, your footer, your responsive mobile navigation, your dark mode toggle. So it's got everything we need. Why reinvent the wheel? If you see my other videos, this is how I like to start things off. Saves me a ton of time with the navigation already being done, because why do it again? When you do it right the first time, why do it again? So let's just dive into the HTML now here. So this is our landing. Now what do we got? Yeah, I'm just gonna get rid of all this, honestly. We're not going to use any of it. So let's just start fresh on Hero. So we want to structure this in a way that it works on mobile, but as we get bigger, it works its way to desktop. So I'm trying to figure out, what do we keep? Obviously, we need this. So let's start with this. So this is going to be. I think I want to make a container, because I think I'm gonna have this right here. So this guy and then this group here. This is going to be in a container that is, let's see. So if we go here to here, there we go. That's about 842 pixels wide. So if you can kind of see where I'm going here, I want to create a container for this one to brush up against and for this section to brush up against. That's the point of a container. It contains. So we're at least going to have that. So container, and let's do. So we have to group these in their own separate container if we want to position them. Yeah, because then we can set this, or we can save a container, right? And just make this position absolute and just absolutely position this. Or we can have them both position relative and just have them sitting next to each other. Honestly, I want to save a div. My goal every website I build is to use as few divs as possible to make the code as clean as possible and not have so much HTML and stuff for the DOM to load. So the simpler, the better. So let's just do our H1. Let's see, help, make. And you'll notice here, we got a break. And this A better will most likely stay on this line. So what we need to do is we want to force this break. So, you can either do, BR for break, and then, a better big bridge. That's one way to do it. Or if this had a different style, what you could do is just wrap it in a span and copy span. So wrap it in a span, and then obviously give the span a class. I don't like having anonymous spans. Excuse me, I had a little lump in there, lump in the throat. So we could just do second line. Who cares? So I like to do spans just in case I do have to change some things or move them around. So we're going to make that a span. We're going to set this to display block, and that will make this span jump to a second line. So that's how we can control where we want breaks to happen. And then here, of course, he used another fancy font that I can't just copy and paste. Okay, so we're going to do this. Is going to be our H2. See, proven listener. Here we go. Sorry if you got to watch me do this. It'd be nice if I could just copy and paste, but someone has to use premium fonts on his Figma that I don't have. He did this last time. It's a questionnaire. Oh, and questioner. Okay, questioner. Focused on conserving island values. Focused on conserving island values. All right. So I think these will jump. If I make this 300 wide, questioner and conserving, they're both gonna break this. They're gonna run into this and into this side. So I don't think I need to do any spans or breaks. I can just set it to 300, and these should automatically format. And then we got our little donate. So our A tag, donate. And I think I got my class. I think it's button solid. That's just in the. I took it away, but yeah, that's just a class I already have in my course styles. So if we go all the way to the top here, yeah, button solid. This is my button style. So it's already done for me. Now I got to, let's see, I got to place this guy. So it's going to be in the container. We're doing image source / images. Was it Cant landing? I think it was. Okay, and let's do. So normally with these images, if it's purely decorative and it has no inherent meaning or value to what's on the page, then you would do an aria. Maybe aria hidden equals true, and this hides it from screen readers and it prevents them from going over it. It just saves them hassle for like graphics, icons, etc. that don't really need to be picked up by a screen reader. You would use aria hidden true, but since this is Cant, we want the screen reader to pick it up and say what it is. So picture of Cant Scott. What is he doing? Is he breaking ground, or is he? What are you doing, Cant? He looks like he's in a greenhouse with a shovel in hand and smiling. You want to be as descriptive as possible for these alt tags. And then I'm going to add a class to this so I can target it. Class equals Cant landing. And I think that's it for that. Now this guy, how do I want to do this? Because if I want this to scale, I hate it when Kyle does this to me. He puts things on the edges of the site, which means as the screen grows, this has to grow proportionally with it. Everything has to grow the same. So that just makes my day a lot harder. So let's just, I think I'm just going to add, so obviously it needs to be outside the container so that it can go to the edge. So we need to exit the container. And then we get the image / images. I think this was street JPEG. And again, this is just purely decorative. So RE hidden equals true, because there's really no reason for us to have to know what that is if we're you know, somebody with a screen reader. We don't need to know this. We would like to know this. So we're gonna put this on the edge. So that's how I'd like those guys to kind of play together. I'm gonna have this image absolutely positioned and on the edge. Now this section here, do I want to include it? Is this part of the landing? That's what I need to determine. Is this a separate section, or is this part of the landing? That's what do I want to do? I think I'm going to treat it as its own section. So I'm just going to take this, copy and paste it for a couple times. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't care. Let's see how many we need. So if you're not familiar with the way I do things, I just like to have my HTML like commented with these little section comments just to help break up my code and be a lot easier to navigate my HTML. And then every section of your website needs to be wrapped in a section tag, as you can see I did here. Semantically, it's telling Google that anything within this section, that this is all related content. So it's basically helping it determine what the content means. Like these are all related. You know, keep this together, and then when we go to the next section, this is a totally different thing, not related to this one or this one. You know, it helps Google understand that this content is separate from this content. You know, it likes it. Google likes semantic HTML, so wherever you can use the semantics, please do. So like everything we're doing is wrapped in a main tag, right? Got to have that done, and then you get your header tag for your navigation, right? So just really basic structure, keep things clean, keep things neat. So we're gonna, this one's gonna be, what kind of section do I want this to be? Join Kent Scott. Let's just call this join. This is gonna be join. Let's center this a little bit. Join. So what do we got here? I got a slanty. Looks like I got a rectangle. So this is how I'm going to build it, right? I got these like shapes that I'm given in Figma that also kind of helps me determine how to build it. So I got a rectangle. I got this, and I got these. So I think that these are going to have to be in their own container, and so this, I'm going to have this be a shape and this be a shape. Or maybe I don't need shapes. This is an interesting one here. Let's think about how we want to do this. So I think on mobile, I want to have this on top of the text. I know that. So I think I want to keep these. I'm just trying to think how I want to do this. I think I'm going to do two containers. One on top of the other. One is going to have the text. One is going to have the images. So let's just let's play that out. So let's do. Do I want to do it? Yeah, I need it. Dot text. So we got our. Looks like we have a line here. So I'm going to make this line. Stop it. I'm going to make this line as a pseudo element. So this, we're going to make this is the big one, H2, join Kent Scott now. Okay. So we're going to make this as a pseudo element. No need to add an extra div or span to do this in your HTML. And then we're going to have, we got our lorem ipsum. Okay, so let's put this here. I use Emmet so that I can do lorem. Let's do 10 and hit tab, and it gives me lorem ipsum text. If you don't have it, get it. It's what is it, Emmet? Yeah, Elm get that, colorize, bracket pair, live server, and prettier. These are all the extensions that I use. So now we got that. Now after here, we gotta do our images, right? And we're gonna have, gotta do it. So the thing is, do I want them to be, because I save these as their own images, but do I want them to be background images and make these divs and make them background images so that, you know, when the screen gets bigger, you know, these, I just set these to be, you know, 30%, 35, 30, I don't know. But I'll just set them to be whatever width they need to be at a percentage. And as the screen grows, you know, the lengths of these will grow, but the image will still stay centered in it. But if I made these images, they have to grow proportionally, you know, lengthwise and height-wise, which would make them grow bigger as well and kind of mess things up here. So the question is, like, so this is full width on this desktop screen. Do I want it to stay full width when the screen gets bigger, or do I want it to just stay? It's 11 o'clock right now, so I can't really ask Kyle, but I assume he wants it to be full width, so I'm just going to do divs. So let's do dot image. Yeah, I think that should be enough. Dot image. And these images, are they important? Do I need to hide them from screen readers, or do I need to describe them? Honestly, I don't see what they add. They're just generic outdoor pictures. So we're just going to hide this entire thing. Aria hidden equals true. So when you add aria hidden on a container or a parent, everything inside of it is also hidden. So it's hiding this whole thing. So it'll just skip it all the way down. So we don't need to add it on all these guys. So we're going to do 1, 2, and 3, right? Now I'll just target these separately with different selectors for int of type 1, int of type 2, int of type 3. So that's how I'm going to handle that. So now I got this, and so now I got to think about this. So I think what I want to do, I'm just going to make this entire section, like this join section, I'm going to make this whole dang thing background green. And I'm going to make a pseudo element on the text container. So this container, right, that is containing the text. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add, let's see, a before element, before pseudo. I'm going to give it a slant. Let's see, does it tell me what this is? What angle are you? That's not going to tell me. So I'll figure that out another time. But I'm gonna rotate it so that it slants. I'm gonna give it a white background, and it's gonna be behind this. So maybe it'll be, I don't know, it'll be this from here, this tall. It'll start up here, and then it'll go down here and stop kind of in the middle here, and just kind of slant. And it's gonna create the illusion of a slant, you know. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna make a rectangular pseudo element that is white, and it's behind this, and I'm going to rotate it, I don't know, 30 degrees or whatever this is, so that it's now like this, and it's just going to cover that. You know, there's a number of ways to do it. I mean, you can do it with clip paths, or you can add a pseudo element that is also rotated. There's so many different ways to do this. I think I'm just going to do it that way. That just seems like the easiest way with the least amount of divs and effort, because I am lazy. I don't want to do more than I have to. So now we're going to go to this section, which is going to be, what are these? Qualities. I'm just going to call this qualities. Okay, qualities. So I have to put this in a container because we have 3 different items that need to work together and be positioned differently. So we gotta have a container. As much as I don't want to use containers, I feel like it just makes my life easier. So in this container we have an item, right? And let's see, we got our image, and I think it's images is icon, oops, / icon black. So icon black 1, and then we got our let's start with our H2s. So each section, when you're doing these, should start with an H2. Sometimes you're not going to have an H2, but so like when you're looking at these, you want to maintain proper heading hierarchy. So you don't have any H2s on this page right now. So I don't like just making the jump to H3. It's just it feels like it's not natural. So I like to start wherever it looks like an H2 could be. And then if there's another heading, subheading underneath that, that's going to be H3. And if there's another one underneath that, that's going to be H4. So I would like to start at H2s, and that's why I'm putting that here. Now we got a line that extends. So I think I'll just make that a pseudo element. Because, I mean, you could do like text decoration underline, but then you don't have a lot of control over what this line does. And we need this line to go and go past it, which we can put padding here, but I also want to control the bot, and it's just, I don't know, I like doing pseudo elements over, if I can, if it's easier, I'll do a pseudo over an underline, just because I have more control. So we're going to ignore that, and then we got our unordered lists in our LIs. Oops, got my caps lock on. LI, right there. I like to open up my LIs, so we got, looks like we got 3 on each one. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then 4. So I'm just setting up the 2 and 3. I'm just setting up the item to be copied. I'm not filling it in yet because I'm just going to copy and paste it, and I don't want to copy and paste the text and have to delete the text, right? So I think this is good enough. So we're going to take this item and copy it 3 times, or copy paste it twice. So our H2 here is going to be wise stewardship. And our LI, we got, I gotta write all this. Preserve and protect the island's natural environment. All right, right on, Cant. Save that environment. So, I mean, if this isn't your jam, watching somebody write text, go ahead, just skip like 15-20 seconds at a time until I'm done doing all this nonsense. I'm just recording everything because I'm working, and it's too much work to go back and forth. Sustainable, and this is part of the job. And climate change goals. So I want to show all of the job. This is a real client. This is a real website, and I want you to see everything. Always put your periods at the end. When you do lists or little paragraphs, just always put a period just to complete that thought. I see that a lot where people don't use periods. I recommend using them. Let's see. So then we got our second one here. Wise development. And then let's see, work to ensure stable and equitable solutions. Period. And explore all options for affordable housing. And evaluate costs timing, sustainability, and all the buzzwords, quality of life, and natural systems. Cool, cool. All right, and wise governing. Is that how you spell it? Yeah. All right, so we got align, comprehensive plan, capitalized with land use regulations and codes. Period. All right, balance, public safety and public health. Ensure return, investment slash efficiency with capital projects. Capital projects and expenses. Oh, almost there, guys. Thank you for sticking with me if you haven't left by now, because you didn't think it would be this boring. Alright, embrace. Active listening. Slash questioning. Come on, right? That's discussion. So I gotta let's see. Yeah. I think there's spaces between these slashes and the text, so we're just gonna mimic that. And then we're gonna change 1 to 2 and 3. That's just how I saved them, just to make it easier. You know, black 1, black 2, black 3. So that section is done. Yeah, I'm just going to zoom out so we can see some of these better. And one thing to note, if you don't know this already, hit Alt-Z to, because you see a lot of times your code is going to go off screen, right? And that's not fun. So if you just hit Alt-Z, it'll make everything happen within this space. So, you know, it'll chop it off and make it go to the next line. So we get our qualities, right? And now we got to do this section. So I want to, so this obviously has to grow with the screen. So I'm just going to make this section have a pseudo element that extends for like, I don't know, 3,000 pixels and stays there. And then I have an after that will slash it and create that point. So yeah, because I got to have these guys. So this text and this button have to be positioned together, and that's going to be a container. So we're going to create a container right here that the button and the text. Let me just shut this down. Shut it back up. Okay. So yeah, the button, if you can still see it, I mean, the button and the text are going to live in this container. I'm going to create a pseudo element, this green rectangle. I'm going to make it, you know, however high it needs to be, and I'm going to make it like 3,000 pixels wide, and I'm going to shove it to the left. It's going to get cut off by the edge, and it's going to stay here, and I'm going to do an after element that's white and chop it off and create that illusion again, and then bring everything else up front on top. So I'm going to remove this guy. Undo. There it is. So I think that's what we're going to do. So, and this is going to be, this is a learn more section. And center this a little bit. Okay. So let's just zoom in just in case the quality of the zoom back in. Yeah, there we go. Just in case the screen reader is not picking it up very nicely. So learn more. We're going to do this learn more and we're going to do our container. And over here, we're going to do H2. Let's see if I can copy this text. It's not about not available. So this aileron black apparently is not. All right. Love it when your designer creates more work for you. Committed to preserving and enhancing. So I'm gonna, again, here we go. Span the quality of life on Bainbridge. So I'm just wrapping this in a span just so I can control it and make it jump to the line how I want to. And then we got this learn more. So we got learn more. Now, in today's web development world, we want to stay away from learn more. It's very tempting to use, but it's not very descriptive for, you guessed it, screen readers. Yeah, web accessibility it should be the forefront of your work now, and it's part of web accessibility is having more contextual buttons and descriptive buttons. So learn more just doesn't cut it, but that's what we got. So what we do instead is we give it an aria label equals. So this aria label labels this element for the screen reader. It will ignore whatever is inside the content or whatever it is, and it will read the label instead. So committed to preserving and enhancing quality of life on Bainbridge. Learn more about Cant Scott's. What do you want to say? Cant Scott committed to preserving and enhancing quality of life. Cant Scott's, what would this be called? Cant Scott's goals and beliefs. Is that how you spell beliefs? EIF? That doesn't look right. IEF. That looks like I've seen it before. So, goals and beliefs. Learn more about Cant Scott's goals and beliefs about preserving quality of life on Bainbridge. Okay. That's good. I know it's a little descriptive, but you know what? I'd rather be over descriptive than not enough. So we're going to leave that there, and then we're going to make the rest of the pseudos. So that's done. Now this section here. So how do I want to do it? So we got this Kent story, and then we got this. So I think Kent story involved with, because you could have this in one H2, right? It could be one H2 that is with 100%, with Kent story and text align left, and then this is in a span that is, I mean, you can float it right. I mean, that's probably one of the only uses of a float you should ever use right now. We float that span to the right, but you got an H2 that says, when a screen reader or Google goes over it, Kent story involved in committed island resident. It just sounds like a weird sentence. So I feel like I want to break it up. Oh, sorry for that clap. Got him. As a mosquito. Broke through the screen. So, yep. All right. It's my first casualty on this YouTube series, but I'm sure he won't be missed. So, God, how do I want to do this to where it makes sense? And then we got a line here. So I don't want these to be in a single H2. So obviously we gotta have a container to contain all of this nonsense. So number one, create the container. Let's start there. And then let's do let's do heading.heading. In this heading, we're going to have an HTML Cant story, and then we're going to have a span, and it's going to be involved in committed island resident. Oh, looks like these are all capitalized. So I'm just going to position these with flex instead and have it be space between. It will put as much space between them as possible until they both float to their respective corners. And then I'll just make a pseudo element on the heading to create the underline, because I don't want to add an extra div to do that. And now we got our p tags. Oh, I don't want to write all this. I really don't. I just don't. Can I copy this? Oh, thanks. Oh, sweet Jesus. Okay. Ignore him. Okay, that's cool. I'll take it. So let's just start from fresh. So we'll take this, put in a p tag here. Let's get rid of that. Take this, put in a p tag here. Get rid of that. Take this, copy, get rid of this p tag, p, and paste. Cool. So I just clicked on this and did copy and paste in here. So, well, that saved a good amount of time. Now we got these two guys here, and looks like it's another edger. So I'm going to have to make sure this grows as well. If I want it to grow. I think I have to absolutely position this. So let's just get this. Let's get this image in. So it can't be inside the container, because that's what this is, and I want it to live outside of it. So I want it to touch the edges of the services section. So I'm going to put it on the outside. Image dot Cant doggo and / images Cant doggo, and alt is Cant Scott, posing with a white adult dog. I mean, I'm not going to try and act like I know what kind of dog that is. I'm not going to lie to these blind people. So I'm just going to say dog. I'm not going to say Labrador, Labrador mix, Golden Retriever that's white. I don't know. With a white adult dog. You know, who am I to tell them what type it is? I just want to let them come up with their own idea. It's just a white adult dog. And then so it is below the fold. The fold, when people are talking about below the fold, they mean the fold of what is on the screen when the screen loads. So I think when this loads, I think all of this will be visible on your screen, and this is above the fold. The fold being like the corner of your laptop screen that meets your keyboard, or below the bottom of your monitor. So now that we're below the fold, all of your images, all of them, lazy. So we're gonna do that. I forgot to do that for these guys up here. These images, loading lazy, loading lazy, loading lazy. So I think this is supported on all major browsers except Safari probably. But it makes all of your images lazy load by default in the browser. So it's a neat little thing that you don't have to do any lazy loading yourself. You just add an attribute to it, and it does not load until all of the website has loaded, and that significantly improves your Google page speed insights. So we're going to be doing this to all of our images below the fold. You don't want to lazy load an image that needs to load. That just hinders your performance and creates it could create some content layout shifts, meaning when the site loads and as these images are coming in from lazy loading, they pop things over around because it wasn't expecting that space because it wasn't loading. So we're just going to lazy load below the fold. So here we are. Now we got this section here. So obviously it needs to be the container for these two to play nicely with each other. So I think this is still going to be Kent's story. All right, I forgot to do this as story. That's about center. And so we got this section. So this is our text. Now this is going to be our call to action, CTA. So we're going to have an A tag, class equals a button solid, and it's going to say about Kent. See, that's a good descriptive button, about Kent. We don't need to do a label or anything. So let's do our so this seems more like an H2 than this, but you get all these text and everything else above an H2. So I want this to, so that means our hierarchy tells us this has to be an H3. However, you can't have multiple H2s. We're not breaking the structure. We're not going from H2 to H4, which you don't want to do. I think we can still, maybe I'm wrong, but I think I can still get away with it. H2, close. Let's see if I can still copy it. Excellent. All right, I think I found a workaround. I just got to copy it and hope it formats for me. So there's that. So these are going to play nicely in their own little fantasy world inside this container. And so this container is only going to be this much wide, right? So if I want to have this looks like it's going to be, okay, so this is where things get kind of annoying because you got this little triangle going over that. So what I need to do now, come on, Kyle. This is supposed to be an easy one, but when you're working with somebody who is talented and good at what they do, nothing's ever easy. So I'm going to make this a pseudo element again. As you can see, I love my pseudos. They are so gosh darn useful. They could be used for anything. It's like adding salt to your food. You just dump it in there. So I'm going to make this a pseudo. You see the square. I'm going to make a pseudo square. I'm going to make it like, 3,000 pixels wide and make it sit nice and comfy right here so it stays, so that when the screen gets bigger, this just keeps going with it. And then looks like I'm going to have to do I'm gonna have to do another pseudo. So if this is so if this is my container right here, living inside this section. Let's see. I'm gonna have to. All right, just a second. I gotta pause this really quick. Little guy is calling for me. I think he woke up, so I gotta go put that thing back down. And then I'm gonna get back to this. I'm gonna think about this while I'm putting him to sleep, and I'm gonna come back with an answer. So you're gonna notice a weird cut. All right, awkward cut. I'm back. So yeah, I'm just gonna do like I think I'm gonna have this. So this is gonna be the container sitting inside this section. That is it's gonna have max width of whatever this width is, and it's gonna be centered with margin auto, and then I'm gonna transform it on the x-axis to shift over, because if it was centered, it would be like it would be pushed over more. So I'm going to center it, and I'm going to push it off center, right? And then I'm going to have an after element. Well, I'll make the after element be the background, and the before element be the clip path here. So this will be a fun one to do when we get to it. But for now, that's what the markup looks like. That's why I like to use pseudo elements, because it really, when you have to make shapes or anything, it cleans up your HTML that you don't need to have all these extra things in it, mucking it up. So let's go to this bottom section here. Same deal. We got some nonsense here that he wants to make me do, these slants. So we got the wise strategy. So let's call this strategy. Okay, and obviously you can tell we need a container, but we have two sections here. So I know that this image is only this big, right? So it's not like it can extend and be full width and have this be a pseudo. That would just stretch it out and it wouldn't look right. So these, thinking how I want to do this now. Just because of the way these are sitting next to each other, I have this screen with this, obviously, like this image that has to stay relatively looking like this, because I don't want to stretch it out. So I can make two sections. So in this section, I can make two containers that are 50% of the width of this section. So this, from here on, will be one container with this text inside. This will be another container that's 50% with this button inside. And this container will be background green. This container will be background image. And then I'll add a pseudo element to do this. So what I'll do with this, I'll set the strategy section, I'll set overflow to hidden. So any element that overflows its borders will be hidden and chopped off. So to create this slant, the easiest way to do it is pseudo elements. I'll make a pseudo square or rectangle that's extending the borders of this, and I will give it a rotation so that it'll basically be slanted this way, and it will be overflowing its section, but it will be cut off by overflow hidden, thus creating the illusion of this slant. I like that. So we're going to do dot left section and dot right section. So we got our this is going to be an H2, and then we got our a tag with our class equals solid. And what is that? The wise strategy. Wise. Another very descriptive button. Way to go, Kyle. So that's what we're going to do. So what's going to happen is inside of this container, maybe if it's just better to show it in a very archaic form. So just to explain what's happening here for those that could benefit from understanding. Solid color. So this is our section, right? This is our section tag. And what I'm doing is I am creating, oh, that's done. I'm creating a, a left section and a right section. Okay, these are the containers these are the containers, not sections, containers inside the section. So this is left and this is right. And excuse me, man, talking really hurts. Let's do fill. Okay, so this is going to be my text, right? So what I'm going to do with this text inside of this container is it's going to be a display block. I'm going to set margin left to auto, and what that does is it will just push automatically against this, and it'll just push it all the way to the edge. And I'll set margin right to whatever it needs to be. So when you do margin auto to the left, it will push against the outside. No matter how big this gets, this will always be pushing it as close, all the way to the edge. And if I set a margin right of like 10 pixels, then this will be all the way to the edge as close as I can, but 10 pixels off. And the same deal goes for this side. So when I have the button, I just have my button, margin right auto, so it pushes it all the way to the left side here. And then I'll give it a margin left of like 20 or 30 pixels. So it pushes it all the way over, and then the margin pushes it back. So that is what we're doing here, right? So here's, you see that blue line right there? This is the center line, right? So it would be margin right auto, so it pushes it, and then whatever this distance is from this edge of this button to the edge of center, where that vertical line is, that's going to be my margin to push it over. And that's the same deal for this. Whatever this line is right here, I'm going to push it over that much. And that's how this section is going to work. So nice, clean, simple. I think that is as easy as it gets to do that. And of course, keep in mind that we have to keep this content needs to line up. So that's another visual cue that you have to check. Is this, make sure this lines up, because that's pretty nice. You want to do this. Like if this was over here like this, that just doesn't really look good. It's kind of visually chaotic. Things are nicer when they feel more organized. So by having this line up with this, it's much more visually appealing. Just a little design tip, if you're putting together your own website, try to line up the edges of your elements and text. It looks nicer. So no more preaching there. Here we go. So we got this section. And then I'll make this another section, and then footer. So I got one more section to add here. This is going to be gallery. Oops. This gallery. So how do we create this? There's a few different ways. So we can either make a container or the section, right? I don't think we need a container for this, and I'll show you why. So we can have this section. Imagine this is the section gallery, right? We could, we set the gallery's height to be whatever it needs to be, and then we transform these to go down and overlap, or we have the gallery be however, let's say the gallery section is this tall. Okay, we could add a pseudo element to the section tag, and that creates this background. So oops, we don't want to undo there, we want to undo here. So we create a pseudo element that is this wide and this tall, and we push it to the top, and we put a margin on top to push these guys down, and there's that, which I like. So we're going to do that. I like pseudo. More pseudo elements, less things to do, less transforms to do, less divs. So let's just throw these images in here. Slash images. What was this? Gallery 1. And it is a gallery. So I will add alt tags. I mean, it doesn't really look like it has any inherent value. It just looks like it's generic images, but they are pretty visually predominant, and they have a high, it appears they have a high visual hierarchy because they are the section. You know, they just, it's like, you know, they serve a purpose. So I'm just going to be a good boy, and I'm just going to do alt tags. So number 1, loading equals lazy. And I just need to do this 5 times. Alright, and then change 1 to 2, 3, 4, and 5. As you can see, my image naming convention makes things a little easier. So we got red chair overlooking a porch. Next, we got a street, view of the street. Standing from the sidewalk. Then we got looking up the steps. Looking up the steps and seeing those wicker hats hanging from Edison bulb light strings. Oh, that's a descriptive one right there. Let's see. Concrete staircase surrounded by overgrown bushes. And sidewalk along a brick building. Cool. All right, so there's that. And that's really all we need to do, because we're just going to make this section, you know, give them a margin top or a padding top of the section. So margin pushes things away, padding pushes from within. So if this was, come back here. If this was the section, like this rectangle, right? Whatever this, so if I go here, 100. So if this was the section, a padding of 100 would push from the inside and push these down. If it was a margin 100, it would push from the outside and push this away. So that's how you have to remember padding and margin and when to use it. Do you want to push from the inside or from the outside? If you want to push from the inside and move things, that's padding. If you want to push things around it, you use margin. So let's do undo, undo, undo. There we go. So we're just going to do another. Do I really want to make another section out of this? It just seems like overkill since there is no H2 in here. Yeah, I'm just going to do a section. Oh, it looks like, oh gosh darn it. All right, we're just going to do gallery. And we're going to take this. Looks like I was working on the wrong one, so well. And we're just going to do this. So this is donate. Call to action to donate. I don't have that anywhere else, right? Strategy, story, learn more. qualities, join hero. Okay. So donate. So obviously we have two groups of content needing to work together. So that tells me we need a container for them to bounce around in. So these two need to be in a box. So this is going to be content h2 every contribution helps, period. Let's take this text. It's going to be our P. So yeah, that's how you have to think about these things. So these have to play around with each other, right? So, but these guys have to stay on top of each other. So you have a container here, and just by the structure alone, you know these have to be in their own div. So you have a div, and then a div. That's what we have to do. As much as I don't like to use divs, that's what we got to do. So outside of this content, we have our link. So to donate. All right. Excuse me. It's almost midnight here. It's just when I have time to work. So that's what we're gonna do there. And we're just going to position these with flex. We're going to position this content section and this A tag with a flex box. Now to our footer, which we're not using this pre-built footer. So let's just try this again. Footer. I always like to do IDs on things. So footer. Oh shoot. Here we go. ID equals footer. All right. So obviously, we have all these elements that need to work with each other. So we have a container. That's number one. Number two is what section needs to be grouped together. So I see two different layouts here. I see one horizontal layout right here, and I see a second horizontal layout right here. So I'm going to create two divs, right? And I'm going to make this another pseudo just to save on divs. So this div will have the logo, and it will have another div that will contain these guys. So why another div? Well, because these are grouped together, and we need a div to group them. So that's what we're going to do. Let's see, footer inside of our container. So we have our footer top, and then we have our image. Well, I want to make it I always make your logos links. So we're going to A, and we're going to do image / images. And I think this is logo white SVG. So what we're going to do here, this image is inside the A tag. So we don't need to know what this image is. So aria hidden equals true. And what we'll do is we're going to add an aria label equals Kent Scott logo. Click to go back to home page. All right, this is descriptive. Like it says what it is. It's the Kent Scott logo. Click to go back to home page, and you'll see aria hidden here, so it will ignore this image. We don't need them to see this image. What's important is the link, and we're describing what it is. And one of the problems is this image is the content of the link, and it's not saying what the link does. So there's no context to where this goes. And that's why we add an aria label, because there's no context here. It's just an image. So we say Kent Scott logo, click to go back to home page. And I think I beat that horse up enough. So now we're going to do these over here. So we're going to do link group. That's just what I feel like calling it. So 1A. And we're going to do 2A, 3A, and then we got an FB here. Yeah, I'm gonna make that. All right, it's gonna be another A, inside that A, we're going to have FB. So this is going to be Cant story. It's going to be key issues. And it's going to be get in touch. This one, since FB is not very descriptive, what the heck is that? Aria label equals go to Facebook. So this ARIA label will immediately ignore whatever is in the content and just say this instead. So that's going to be that section. We're just going to place these with flex. And some people, to do these slants, you could put a div between them, or a span. Oh, I got my voice cracked. I'm 31 and my voice cracked for the first time in years. So this could be a span that you rotate and put in between these guys. But again, that just creates more messy markup. And those are more nodes in your DOM structure that will slow down your load times, however small, but it's there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use margin to space these guys out. And then on the first and second link, I'm just going to put a pseudo element. I'm going to do an after element. I'm going to create one that's this tall, this wide, and centered vertically and to the right and rotated. And I'm going to do that for both of them. That's how I'm going to do it. Again, pseudo elements are everywhere. They do so much, and wherever you can use them to take away things in your HTML, do it. Because the cleaner the HTML, the better. So that's our goal. We want to use as few divs as possible and not have what's called div soup, where it's just div after div after div after div after div. And that's what you see in the in CMSs like WordPress or Wix. It's just freaking divs all the way down in like a huge V. It gets really convoluted. So we want to use as few as possible and use as many pseudo elements as we can. So now, obviously this line can be a pseudo element to the footer top. And I'll just make a margin bottom to push this down, and then I'll make this pseudo, go down however I want. So now all we got to do is create footer bottom. So footer bottom, and we got our copyright copy. So let's do a span for this, because it's not a heading and it's not a paragraph, so it's going to be a span. I'm going to do class equals copy, right? And then we got another one over here. Designed by, so it's going to be another span. Class design. And what we're going to do here, I have two links. I got to do Kyle's website and I got to do mine. So we're going to do it designed by a Kiro Kawa. All right, and I think he's got a period there, and then developed. Is that right? Developed by a tag. OHWD. Well, actually, no, we're going to do, OHWD. Even if you have caps on your text, don't put caps in your HTML, because what if you want to change them someday? It's just, it's easier to change the uppercase, lowercase, capitalization in CSS than it is to just go and redo the code in HTML. So I'm going to make this lowercase and I'm going to uppercase it in CSS. So that's all done. I think I just had to do this navigation. So we got this Facebook again. So let's just copy this. Let's go to our navigation. So we just have Cant story and issues. So Cant story, and we're just going to leave this blank for now, and key issues. All right, leave this blank for now. And then so let's clean this up a bit. I just AltZ, so I make them all go long. And it's just easier to see if I do this. Oh yeah, so much easier. Okay. So we're gonna get rid of. Let's get rid of these guys. So I want inside of this. I want to make this. This is a button, right? It's just another button. So this A tag is gonna have a class equals button solid, and that's gonna be get in touch. We're gonna get rid of services. Okay, so that's to get in touch. Then we're gonna do our Facebook. So we did another li list item, and that's where we're gonna put our A. Let's just format this a little better. There we go. It's that A tag. Go to Facebook. Here's the Facebook. The link. And logo. We're gonna do logo SVG. I think it's logo SVG. Yeah. Okay. So these are gonna again. I'm gonna do pseudo elements for these slanties here. Let's redo this. Boop. Okay. So that's it for that, really. That's the home page. So that's how I would structure all the HTML for this. And yeah, this menu, image, and the UL. So the image, obviously, they're all going to be opposite sides. So what I'm going to do, because this is such a different, I don't usually have unique about and contact pages. So I think I'm just going to go through and do the CSS and everything for this one and have them as separate videos. So we'll do HTML homepage and then CSS for mobile, tablet, desktop in different videos. And then there'll be like about HTML and then about CSS for mobile, tablet, desktop, and then same with contact. So we're going to tackle these each at a time and complete them all each one at a time. So the next video, what we'll be doing is taking our HTML that we just made, and I will be transforming this design. I'll be making design decisions on what to keep, how to move things where for mobile, because I don't have a mobile design. And a lot of my job, like my day job, working as a front-end developer for another company, is to take these desktop designs and I decide how I want mobile to go. So this is a very valuable trick to have, valuable skill to have, I should say, if you can translate a desktop mock-up to mobile, because then you can save money on design, time on design, and they can trust you to kind of take control. So that's that for this video, and I'll see you in the next one.